This is actually, there's 2010 NC140 rootstock research planting on my left. I'm not going to talk about that because that one is done. But on my right here, this is the 2014 NC140 planting. So it's in its 9th leaf this year. And since Wes left and became direct, is Wes around? Wes is still involved in NC140, but pretty much I've taken over managing the data collection and research of this one planting which is left. The original idea, NC140, if you don't know, is a group of researchers in North America, mostly in the big apple production states. We put in replicated plantings. So there's a bunch of people. I didn't put the locations. How many locations total? 16 North American locations. This planting's replicated. And the idea behind this planting was to look at these Vineland rootstocks. Who's got some V1s out there? Or is it V3? Chris? Where's Chris? Who's got Vineland? What are they, V3s or 1s?
V1.
V1s. You got a bunch of V1s. So V1 is in this planting. Unfortunately, the Vineland, the V series have kind of seemed to petered out for various reasons. But the original, back in, when we planted this in 2014, there was some interest in comparing them to the Geneva rootstocks. And most of these Geneva rootstocks that are in here are we're not particularly testing rootstocks. Some of them were newer, like 214, but most of these are commercially available now. Although some have fallen out of favor, like Geneva 30. Although frankly, if you look at the chart in here, it's done really well. So the kind of annual data collection that, again, Jim Krupa, before he retired, I don't know who's going to help me this year, we included root suckers, trunk diameter, tree height and spread every 5 years, and we picked all the fruit on all the trees individually. There's 10 replications for fruit yield. Did I mention it's Honeycrisp? We also, a few years ago, was it 3 years in a row, Jim? Or 2? 3 years in a row, we did a collaborative study with Terrence Robinson on Cornell, which I haven't seen all the results yet, looking at rootstock and bitter pit incidents. That was quite a bit of extra work that Jim helped me out with. This year I'm also doing, in collaboration with AgroK, which is a fertilizer, a foliar spray company. Unfortunately, their products are not readily available here. Pat, AgroK, have you got any? Because I'm talking about it. I know. So AgroK has been doing this Sap analysis where I've been collecting foliar samples and send them off by FedEx to the Netherlands every 2 weeks. This year we're comparing the rootstocks B941 and G969. So if you look at the chart here, what's important? Well, we like to think cumulative yield efficiency is probably the most important thing, because that kind of gives you an idea over time what the yield efficiency of these rootstocks are. And yield efficiency is simply a measure of the number of apples per the diameter of the rootstock, which is kind of a nice thing to have, a nice thing to know. And you can see that in general the Vinelands haven't done very well in yield efficiency. Their larger trees have not done terribly well. Geneva 30 is a larger tree, but it's done a little better than the Vineland in terms of yield efficiency. But then you drop down to Geneva 969, Geneva 214. By the way, I really like 214 in general. I've got some other trees on 214, and they are just gorgeous. M26 has been so-so, 41 has been okay. But look at 935, look at Geneva 11, the yield efficiency. Not a particularly big tree, can be planted 3 feet apart, tall spindle, 1,200 trees an acre, and the yield efficiency has been really good. I think there's something wrong with 202 in here. And even though the yield efficiency of M9 has been very high, I don't know, I question that data, whether we got that right. It's been okay. But the trees just, you can see they're the smallest trees. They don't look great. They just don't look that healthy.